Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elle, and today I'm going to be doing a video where I chat about series that I want to reread. So I was inspired to make this video from Happily Ever April. I saw that she did a video like this one a couple of days ago, and I just thought it was such a great idea. And I have actually been thinking like this past week about tons of series that I'd be like, oh, like I should reread this like on audio or, you know, whatever it is. So I will definitely link her video down below so you guys can check it out. But yeah, so I have just been feeling just like ever since I finished House of Flame and Shadow, I had just been feeling like I really want to reread some of Sarah J Maas's series. So like let's get right into one of the series that I want to reread so badly, which is Throne of Glass. I have just been seeing, especially because on Audible they had a huge sale for the series, and I know that Jess from Peace Love Books is reading the series for the first time, and I am so excited that she's reading it finally. And I just like want to go back to all of those characters, and I just love that series so much. I first read the series in I read it all in one summer. I think it was in 2022. And I just remember being so enamored by each book and just ravenous to read the next. And I love that series. So if you don't know what Throne of Glass is, it is a YA fantasy romance series. And the heroine, like the first book, she is an assassin and she has to go through kind of these like trials to become like the king's assassin. And that's all I'm going to say about that book. But I just really want to reread, especially with all of the theories about the like Crescent City series and, you know, things that happened in those books and like what's going on in other worlds. And I remember, especially I reread the whole Crescent City series before the third book came out, and I was like, wow, like I remember so many things or pick up on so many little things that I didn't do when I first read the series. And I just really want to reread this, especially on audio. And I don't know, I really want to read it, but I can't. Okay, so I think it's like Tower of Dawn, and I don't remember what the next one is, where you tandem read. And I still have, like, I got through about like halfway through Tower of Dawn and just never finished it because I was doing the tandem read and things were just getting so good in the other book. And I was like, I don't really care about Kale. And I just like didn't read it because I was like, I'm so focused on what's happening in this other book that I just didn't want to read it. So I just really want to do a reread of Throne of Glass and just like revisit all of these characters again. I feel the same way about like the ACOTAR series. Like I am seeing all of these edits on TikTok of like Reese and Farah, and I am like, oh my god, stop showing me these, because these are making me want to reread the series again, and I can't because I will just want to reread all of them. And I did recently reread A Court of Silver Flames, I think like a year ago. But yeah, I just love Sarah J Maas, and I feel like I could reread all of her series like over and over again and still find like new things. But yeah, I love her, and I just really want to reread this series so badly. The next series I have on this list is the Tattered and Torn series by Catherine Cowles. So I read the series in 2021 or 2022. I can't even remember. I think it was 2022. I think I read the whole series in 2022, and I read a lot of them physically or on my Kindle. I think I only read two of them on like audio. And so I remember I bought the audiobooks like a while back, and I would just love to reread them again because I just love that series so much. I just finished the Lost and Found series by her, and I'm just feeling so much FOMO and just like, oh my gosh, and just feeling like emo just because I just am so sad that that series is over. And I love the Tattered and Torn series. It is just such a great small town romance series, and I just think it's one of her best series. So if you don't know, the first book in the Tattered and Torn series, I think it's Tattered Stars, or I don't really remember. Tattered and Torn? I can't remember. I'll put it up on the screen. But this is a hate to love romance where the heroine, she grew up in kind of like a doomsday family, and they all like lived secluded in the wilderness, and something happens where a little girl is kidnapped by the heroine's father, and the heroine basically turns in her father and it's like, this is what happened. And so the heroine is basically kind of shunned from the rest of her family and that like civilization in the wilderness. And now it is years later, and she like left the town, and now she's coming back to live on the land that her parents, you know, had, and like her house was before. And the hero is actually the sheriff of the town, and he is also the brother of the girl that was like abducted. And so he really like harbors a lot of guilt, and he kind of takes his like anger and guilt out on the heroine, and she starts getting some creepy things start happening with her, and so then he starts getting very protective. And this whole series is amazing. Like, I never really loved small town romances until I think I read Catherine Cowles, to be honest. Like, she really changed everything for me. So if you just want like cozy vibes and just like a series to binge, I highly recommend this one. If I did reread it, I think I would reread on audio because the audiobooks are amazing. She did such a great job picking all of those narrators. But I love this series with my whole heart, and I just really want to do a reread. The next series that I want to reread so badly is the Fallen Men series, because I have all of the audiobooks, and I just am like so just, I don't know, in my feels. I feel like I love this series so much, and I totally am in the like sphere of, you know, what, like an audiobook can really change everything about a book and just shed the book in a new light. And so I really want to re-listen to some of the books in the series, especially Inked in Lies. That's one of my favorites of the series. This is a motorcycle romance series, and lots of suspense and just like soul-crushing romances. Like, they are epic, and I love all of the books in this series. The first book is I think it's a student teacher romance and reverse age gap, where the heroine is older and the hero is younger. And all of the books in the series are just like so amazing, and I would just love to do a reread, especially on audio. Then I have the Violent Delight series by Jessica Hawkins. I love Jessica Hawkins, and she is just one of the best writers. Like, she is one of the queens of angst. Seriously, her books are so angsty and just amazing. If you have not read her yet, definitely pick her series up. Like, the Something in the Way series is amazing. Violent Delight series is amazing. So this is a trilogy, and they're all fairly pretty short. And this all revolves around the Mexican cartel, and the heroine, she witnessed her mother's death. And this is also a love triangle. So one of the heroes, she saw him basically laying over her mother's body, covered in her blood. And since then, she has thought that he murdered her mother. And now it is years later, and he was kind of ousted from the cartel. And now he is back in town with his own cartel, and he wants to make a deal with her father, who is the head, one of the heads of like one of the most powerful Mexican cartels. And she absolutely hates him, and she is also dating his brother, his younger brother. And it is a very angsty romance. It is a love triangle, so much suspense. It is also like age gap. The hero is older, like the one that went away for a while, and it is so good. Like, I'm obsessed with this romance. I remember reading this series, just like staying up late at night, like reading and trying to see what was going to happen. A lot of the books in this series leave, at least the first two books, leave off on cliffhangers, so you just are dying to know what's going to happen. It is just so epic, so action-packed, so fun. Love the series. Need to reread it to get in my feels, because I love this like romance. It is so good. Then I have the Kingmaker's Duet by Kennedy Ryan. This was recently republished, like traditionally published, and I just love that for her. She deserves all, like, everything. She is just an amazing author, and I just love that she's finally getting the recognition she deserves, and it just makes me so happy. And I read this duet years ago, and it is just such a beautiful story, and so like action-packed for Kennedy Ryan. Like, these books left off on cliffhangers and had lots of twists and turns. So this is a duet. In the first book, we follow the hero and heroine when they first meet, when the heroine is like 18, I think, and the hero is like maybe like 5 years older than her. And she is protesting a pipeline, and the hero kind of joins her in on this protest, and they both get put in jail, and they kind of like make friends with each other, but then they're like, we're never really gonna see each other again. And then it is a couple years later and they run into each other in Amsterdam, and they kind of have 2 weeks of fun, like a fling, and it is really, really good. And something happens where they were supposed to meet up but don't, and she finds out something very unnerving about the hero, and she basically hates him now. And so now it is in the present time, and she is working as a political like campaign manager for the hero's brother, because his brother is campaigning to be the next president, and they are very like close in proximity with each other, and he wants a second chance and she's like no. So much like angst and pining, love that spans years. It is just such a great duet. Lots of like action, well, not like lots of action, but like there's some action in this one and suspense that I was not expecting, and I just want to reread the series again. I love Kennedy Ryan, and I just really want to go back and reread this, and just I love the hero, and I just want to like remember this romance again because it's just so good, and I am dying to reread this because I love this duet so much. Okay, so I have another Gianna Darling series, which is the Antiheroes in Love duet, because I love mafia romance. This is one of my favorite mafia romance duets. It is amazing. If you have not read it yet, I don't know what you're doing, because this duet is incredible. So the heroine is a lawyer, and the hero is one of the most famous like Italian mafiosos in New York, and he is basically being framed for the murder of another famous mafioso, and the heroine is a lawyer, and she is put on his team, and she absolutely hates him because she actually grew up in Italy and she has a really bad past with the mafia, and she's just so turned off by him, and he is just so smitten with her and is just obsessed with her and wants her, and she's like no, like I can't do that. And then he ends up being put on house like arrest, I think, where he's confined to his house, like he literally has to stay there, and she has to stay with him. And so it's even more forced proximity, lots of action in this one. Such a great romance, one of my top tier romances ever. I literally love this one so much, and I would love to re-listen to this on audio. I have both of the audiobooks for this duet, and like I love the accent of the hero for the narrator. Like he also has a British accent, but he is like a part of the Italian mafia, so he kind of has like a mixed accent, and it is so good. So I really need to reread this one. I love it so much, and I heard that Gianna Darling is going to be writing more mafia romances in like the coming next couple of years, and I am so excited for that. So love this one, love to do a reread right now. Then I have the Kingmaker series by Sophie Lark. I read this I think like 2 years ago, and I'm obsessed. This is another mafia romance series. It is just so fun. So this revolves around this school, this university, that all of the children of these famous like mafia like leaders and in the mafia, they go to the school to train to become future leaders like in the mafia. And so there are different sectors for different things. Like there's a spy sector, there's an enforcer sector, there's like a like if they're going to become like the leader of that mafia, that like section. So each of the books revolves around a different romance, and they're all so amazing. The first book is a love triangle, friends to lovers romance, and the second book is like fake dating a little bit. The third book is my favorite, which is The Bully. I love that book. It is a bully romance, but done very well. And there's also like a thread of mystery with this mysterious character that we don't know the identity of, but they're doing all of this like suspicious stuff. It is just such a great series. I would love to reread this. I remember reading all of these books in like a day because the text was so big. But I was just like so obsessed and needed to continue on with this series. So good. Love it so much. Okay, so the next series I have is the Bully series. I think it's like the Maiden Lane series. No, it's like Lane something. It's by Penelope Douglas. I'll put it up on the screen, but I love this series so much. This was one of my first romances I ever read, Bully by Penelope Douglas. It is a bully romance, friends to lovers turn to enemies to lovers to second chance, and it is amazing. And I just remember reading the series and loving all of the books, and I would love to go back and reread it because I've forgotten about a lot of things, and I would especially love to reread it before like the next books in the, I think it's a Fallen Lane series, because there's second gen series, and then that next book is going to come out I think this year in March. So I would love to like reread this whole series. I love all of them. They're so good. New adult, just amazing. I have on this list or series is the Stay With Me series by Nicole Fiorina. So I read this series I think in like 2021 maybe. I think it was 2021. But this series is so epic. The heroine is dealing with a lot at the moment. She is just kind of just not herself, and she I think is also suffering from like a mental illness, and her parents are like, we need to get you help. And so they end up sending her to this university that also works as like a mental health like institution. And that's when she meets the hero Ollie, and he just becomes obsessed with her and is like, I want to make you my friend, like I want to get to know you. And they start up having a romance, and it is very just like all-consuming love. I don't want to say too much because it would be major spoilers, but it is epic. It's new adult, and it deals with a lot of both of their past very tortured characters. The heroine is a very like unlikable character at first, but like you just know she's hurting so badly. And this series is just amazing, and I would just love to reread it because it's very angsty, and I love angst, and I love the series. And it's only 3 books, so I feel like I could do it. But if you haven't read the series yet, you should definitely do that right away. It is amazing if you love angst, all-consuming love. Like, this is an epic romance. I love it so much. All right, well, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me chat about all of the series that I would love to reread, but who has the time to do that? Maybe I'll like sprinkle it in throughout the year. But I truly love all of these series, and I would love to just like reread all of them. But I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.
I was never the one to write up a song for just anyone. I was always the one to find myself lost in long conversations. Oh, 'cause I've always been told that things will unfold if you